everyone, thank you so much for coming today to see the screening of The Beautiful Love. And I just want to give another round of applause to everyone. My name's Jo Sargeant. I am from Hot Coals Productions, and I will be hosting a Q&A today with the wonderful team, and we're just going to find out about the making of Love. I'm just going to start off first with a little bit of access. Just to describe myself, audio described for the visually impaired and blind. I am a white woman, I'm in my 30s, I have long brown hair, I'm wearing a khaki green boiler suit with a orange, mustard yellow scarf today. Right, let's start to begin with. Gemma, let's start with you.
Do you want us to audio descript?
Yeah, actually, let's go through to each person. Should we go through do you want to start with you, Gemma, and we'll do an audio description of each person? That would be wonderful, thank you.
I am a, I set myself up to fail there, didn't I? I am a woman in her 30s with blonde hair, wearing all black today other than a white trainer with a neon swoosh.
Swoosh.
I'm a white woman in my 30s, quite petite with brown curly hair, wearing a dress that is cat prints, black and white.
Oh, yeah,
no, black
leopard.
and brown. Sorry, leopard skin. Leopard. Yes, with cowboy boots.
Just to clarify, that was Lucy speaking.
Yes, sorry, it's Lucy.
Lucy speaking. Wonderful. Jules, would you be so kind as to audio describe yourself?
Well, I'm a white man, even though I thought I looked like Denzel Washington when I was a teenager. But I'm a white man, and I am in my early 30s, and I'm wearing my favourite jacket ever. So
It's very dashing too.
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you very much. And Jane?
Hiya, I'm Jane, I'm the director of the film, and I'm an ageing woman with greying hair. And I'm wearing glasses, and like most of the very stylish cast members and team members here, I'm wearing black, but I've put a dash of a burgundy shirt with it. I'm very pleased to be here, thank you.
Thank you so much. And we also, let's not neglect, we have, is it Bex? Yeah, who is here with Jules today, sat next to him today. Did you want to describe yourself quickly?
Yeah, I'm Rebecca. I'm in my late 20s. I've got black trousers on, a gold watch, and a kind of animal print top, and brown hair.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Brilliant. That's just a little bit of access there. That's brilliant. So, Love. Wow. It's just gorgeous. Thank you so much. And it's so brilliant to see these stories being told and getting out there and in such a beautiful way. It's just great. So we start with Gemma. Now, Gemma, you wrote Love, obviously. And yes. Gemma, you and I have had many conversations over the last few years. We've known each other for quite a long time. And as we're both neurodivergent artists ourselves, we chatted at length about the importance of representation and barriers that we face. And I know you've worked many years as a creative support with Jules. You've also been multitasking on this project. It's not just been the writer. She's also, of course, she played Daisy and also an executive producer as well. Can you tell us what inspired you to write Love?
Yeah. Well, as you said, I've worked with Jules for a number of years. We worked together at Holby City, and I was inspired to write the film after a conversation we had one day. And Jules is obsessed with films. He loves them, as we all do while we're here. And he said to me one day that he would love to be the lead in a film, but he didn't think it would ever happen because of his autism. And I was like, wow, do you really think that's the case? And he was like, yeah, because I never see myself on screen. And I was like, right, okay. So I went away and I had a little think about it, and I was like, well, we got to write it because we've got to make this happen. Because I did start to recognize that there is nothing out there with a lead autistic actor, autistic character. And this film isn't about autism. This is an unrequited love story told from the point of view of someone with autism. And I don't believe that there's anything out there like that either. and I really think that it needs to change. And so I took it upon myself and wrote a film.
Brilliant. And that's it, really. It's just about being brave and actually going out and writing the stories, you know. And people write stories, but it's so much better when you have the perspective, you know, and the understanding. So for anyone who's out there who might like to make an accessible film, how did you go about it? Big question.
Well, that is also quite a big one. So I guess I went into it having experience of working with Jules at Holby. And if I can just explain a little bit about the role that creative support and how that works.
Please do.
Creative support, it's not one blueprint. It's individual. So if I work as creative support with Jules, I work with him, and we figure out what his independent needs are, and then it's all about making his experience and him being the best actor that he can be. They call it in the industry to create reasonable adjustments. That's all you've got to do. So I went into this thinking that with my knowledge, it would be simple. But unfortunately, independent filmmaking and accessibility don't necessarily sit together very well at the moment. And that all comes down to money. And unfortunately, we had some real struggles, and I've talked to you, Jules, about this, because Jules has a certain experience at Holby, because there is money, and it means that all of the structure that's been put in place for him is there, so that he can be at work and he can have the best experience. With an independent film, we didn't have the money to be able to just go and go and go, to take those considerations. And that was the bit that I struggled with the most, because my frustration around that, I know how important it is, I know how important it is for Jules. And because I wasn't able to deliver that, that made it really hard. However, I don't want that to put off filmmakers in the future, because it is possible. As I said, it's just about taking into consideration what those independent artists need, listening to them and making that happen. And so if we all have a go at trying to make some change, then hopefully the industry will move forward and make change.
Exactly. I mean, yeah. It's so true. I mean, with our company, we started off with creating accessible work for deaf and hearing audiences, to bring deaf and hearing audiences together. That's our area of access that we started on our journey with. You've started with your area that you have a specialist in. But, you know, we're now branching out into different forms. You're now branching out. I mean, we've been talking about captions recently. Unfortunately, we weren't able to caption for this, but that's a money restriction. At the end of the day, if there isn't money, how are we supposed to, you know, be able to do everything? And no one's asking everyone to do everything. We're just asking everyone to start and try and ask the people out there who know what they're doing. For example, there are some wonderful companies out there who specialise in access, who have different specialist areas in access. And I mean, Lucy, you were let me get the terminology right here. You were the access consultant, which is a different role from creative support.
Yes.
You were the access consultant on Love.
Yes.
And you also are an access manager with Access All Areas as well.
Yeah.
Could you please tell us a little bit about the role, what that entails, and why more people should know about these roles?
Yeah. Well, the access consultant or access manager, whatever you want to call it, so many different names for these roles. It's really about making sure that the right conversations happen at the very right time with the right people. It's about implementing access all the way from the very beginning all the way to the end of the production. The main focus should always be the actor or actors that you're working with, that you're supporting. It's like Gemma said, it's about getting to know them and what their individual access needs are and making sure those are put in place. It's really about also, making sure that the crew, the director, the writer, from hair and makeup, the canteen where you're working, really have the awareness and the training also to welcome the actors. The access kind of goes all across the board, really, and it's about really making sure that you challenge some situations that aren't quite right and question them, and make sure that people just don't forget about the access, because sometimes it's invisible, you can't see it, but it doesn't mean it's going away or it's not there. And then a huge part of my role is also to work with the creative support. So I manage many people across all kinds of different TV companies or theatre shows, and then deliver a lot of training really for different departments. And so I guess the question you said about why people should know more about my roles is so that opportunities happen for actors like Jules. Jules is a fantastic actor, as seen here and on Holby City, and therefore there should be more lead roles. But I think people just get scared because of doing things wrong, or saying the wrong thing, or not doing the right thing. Twitter is dangerous, I guess, at the moment, and people get scared that access can really be a huge conversation, but it should be a positive thing that we should keep championing and kind of pushing forward.
Absolutely. I mean, we were just having a conversation just yesterday evening about language, and language is ever evolving and changing, and it's about asking what is the right words, and not just it's fine, everyone's going to get things wrong. It's just trying. And
and you have to ask the person you're working with. I only know what I know from my experience, but people with lived experience have the right answers, and it's about listening and working with them to really challenge that. So
Brilliant. So I'm just going to look at my notes quickly. And we also today have with us Jane, who directed the piece. So Jane, talking about access and working with disabled actors, you were the director of the piece, so have you worked with disabled actors before, and what was your process?
Yes, I've worked with disabled actors before, and actors with special needs and different abilities. I was blessed to be working with Jules here because it's the first time I've worked with a neurodivergent actor in the lead role, and he did a fantastic job. And the process was made a little bit easier by the fact that we had Gemma, who'd been Jules's creative enabler for a long time, and the work that she does with him, the work that you do together in advance of the project is really helpful. Okay, so that's preparing the script, preparing, for what performance might be coming out of it. And I think had we not had that preparation beforehand, certainly the pace at which we had to work and the restrictions that we had in terms of time and finance would have been probably more onerous. But I think that preparation really helps with that. And then the next thing that you need to do is, when you're working with somebody with Jules's skills and talents, is you've got to kind of share the creativity. You've got to sort of let go what you think you know, and help actually to just find the truth together. So there'd be some things that we'd written in the script, which we'd do, and then actually I could see that Jules would be thinking, I don't get this, I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't know why I'm doing this. And I sort of felt like, this is a great example. We might be doing an action, or we might be trying to force an idea upon a situation because we're writing as non-neurodivergent people for a neurodiverse actor. And actually the truth is that that's not what I do, that's not how I see it. And so what you have to do is say, well, we'll do something different. We're going to change that. We won't do that. And you've just got to kind of let control of, the sort of, normally what you're being a terrible control freak when you're a director. You've got to kind of, make sure that it's all, you've got to kind of let go of that. And you've got to just sort of go, actually, let's find this truth together. Let's, I can learn from you, and I can learn actually how to kind of show the world how you see it. And I hope that we did that, basically, because, it's about just adjusting your language sometimes, adjusting the way that where you're standing and looking at something, just kind of trying to look at it from a different standpoint. And so the process was an evolving one. It wasn't something that we went into thinking, this is how we're going to do it. Jules is going to learn his lines with Gemma and they're going to prep and, actually on set, I think that, we were constantly evolving the script. And actually from the script that we first read, what you see on screen is really developed from that. you know, because we were coming up with ideas and putting things in, you know, and Jules would be doing something on set and we'd be like, yeah, do more of that. Okay, let's do that. You know, never thought about it, but yeah, let's do that. That's in, because, you know, it feels right. And, you know, it's just about being open.
That's brilliant. I mean, that's so true, and that even brings the statement that we've been saying so often recently, nothing about us without us, makes it so much more relevant, because when you do bring us into the space, deaf, disabled, neurodivergent artists, to tell our stories and be involved in the process from the start, look what can happen.
Yeah.
You know, you can get something truly authentic. But thinking about that also, so sticking with you for a minute, Jane. So the story of love was told, as we said just now, from an autistic man's point of view and perspective. There were so many really interesting visual elements within that. So could you tell us a little bit about some of the decisions you made for the visuals to help to tell, you know, some examples of...
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, what we're not trying to do is fancy camera work, really, you know. I think the camera work and the shot selection is very typical, very filmic. But what we tried to build into it were kind of more sensory elements. So the colorization, if you notice, maybe you didn't, hopefully it's seamless. But when Oscar is in a safe space and he's happy, the colour is very rich, and we've got all the reds and the oranges and the yellows are all popping. And then when he moves into a place of anxiety, we really kind of dampen that down, and all the blues and the greys come up. And if you notice, once he moves into the non-safe space, we never go back into the cafe. So while he's happy and he's in this bubble where he is believing himself in love with Daisy, or he's in love with Daisy, we're inside the cafe, the music's playing, and it's all very kind of, you know, very colourful and light. But as soon as he goes to the cafe for the last time, if you notice, we don't go inside with him, we're outside. That space is no longer safe. He's no longer happy in that space. And so from then on, you know, the colour is very crunched down and it's very blue and grey. And obviously the importance of sound as a sensory element was really important, particularly the music, because we love the streets and Oscar loves the streets. And so it's very important, you know, the choice of those songs, but also then the original music that we had composed, which is beautifully done by Guy Dagoul and Nicolette Street, you know, which tries to kind of echo elements of the streets music. So we've kind of got the same sort of vibe going on. But we're blending those theme tunes. So we've got Oscar's theme, which is the kind of upbeat trombone music. And then obviously we've got this kind of very choral, angelic kind of, you know, voices of angels, which usher Daisy in. But we're blending those all the time, and then also just altering them slightly as we go along. So the music's incredibly important. And of course, we've got the sound effects, which are the sounds which are the external sounds which drive Oscar into his headphones. So, you know, obviously towards the end and before he meets Daisy, there's a lot of kind of very heavy traffic noise, and there's all of these obtrusive sounds which really kind of grind his gears, basically. And we're amping those back up at the end, but they're sort of, as you can see, they're muted in the middle part when he's happy. So it's just things like that, really.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you so much. I mean, that's, yeah. I spotted when the soundscape changed as a neurodivergent person. Right. I was sitting there going, you know, I really empathised with that one. So, Jules, everyone on the spectrum is completely different, as we know. Stereotypical views often assume that autistic actors are the same as the artistic characters they play. How would you say you're different and the same to the characters that you play? For example, Oscar.
I think.
Well, you wanted to say about Oscar having maybe the OCD of the repetition of the walking through the gates.
I think everyone's autism is different. I think a lot of people see movies that are not films that are when they get a neurotypical actor to play an autistic person, they think that everyone just has that type of autism. They don't realise that it's a whole spectrum of things, of different things, and I think I'm quite different to Oscar, actually. But I enjoyed the challenge of playing him, and
Jason in Holby's very kind of serious, and you've got a lot of
but
comedy.
Jason Holby needs someone to bring comedy. You do. Because
so Jason's very
because
different to you in
Jason,
that way.
my character in Holby is so serious sometimes. He's so uptight and needs to have a good laugh sometimes, So and I think Oscar was more intense than me. I think. Yeah.
And do you think a way in which you're similar might be that maybe all of the characters and yourself maybe struggle with anxiety sometimes? So you can play that a lot better, can't you?
And I think someone with the condition, an actor with the condition, can play the role better because they know what it's like to have it. So.
Absolutely. 100%. So, Love is an unrequited love story told from the point of view of Oscar, the autistic man. Do you think it's harder for people on the spectrum to find love? And if yes, in what way?
Yes, it is, because I think some people that don't have much experience around autism don't sort of get thrown off by the different quirks and they don't really understand what it's like to have it. I mean, they're not very, they just get sort of thrown off by autistic people. So and I know this a lot from experience with women, and it's just happened recently actually. So, but I think it's very, I think that it is difficult for people with autism. It's more challenging to find love because people don't just sort of get sort of alarmed by different sort of behaviours. They don't understand thinking outside the box. They get really. Society just doesn't is not tolerant enough of it.
Do you think they say they interpret sometimes what you say the wrong way, even though you've got good intentions behind something? People that don't understand you maybe take what you're saying the wrong way, maybe. And do you think there's a common misconception that maybe people on the spectrum struggle to understand feelings and express them, which is not the case at all, is it?
No. Yeah.
And I think Gemma wrote that really brilliantly in the piece when you've got the role of Daisy. So this is my interpretation, obviously, but you got the role of Daisy, who's very empathetic and understanding and calm and everything, and then there's the other girl in the cafe who's misreading what Oscar's saying as well. So you get to see the different reactions and things, and I think that's a really interesting part that you've written in there, Gemma, as well. So
I think Oscar got confused because he thought that Daisy was she was just being nice, but he didn't realise that she had a boyfriend.
Yeah, exactly. And you've had similar things happen to you like that, haven't you?
Yeah.
Which is why I wanted to write it that way, because I wanted to show how easy confusion happens for everyone. So yeah, we've talked a few times about our own experiences, our own unrequited love experiences, haven't we?
It can happen.
It can happen to anyone,
Absolutely.
But Oscar was much cooler than the boyfriend, you have to be honest. Much more handsome than the boyfriend.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Daisy knows she could have done better.
That's it. That's in the sequel, Jules.
is there one?
If there's funding.
Oh, brilliant.
And today we're all here for a common love. Me.
Oh. Going back to my notes.
It's thrown you a little bit there, hasn't it?
It's like, oh, how do I follow up?
There's a lot of love in the room, Jules.
And some of you I will meet and some of you I won't. So.
So touching on it, Gemma, just coming back to you a little bit. As you're a creative, you're a writer who's dyslexic. Did you come across any obstacles that you had to overcome to make this project a reality?
Yeah. I mean, dyslexia in a way is my obstacle, but because writing is a struggle. But I think that probably came from my struggles at school and thinking that I couldn't do it. And actually the realization, later in my professional life that I could. I just needed to find my own accessible way of doing it. So when I finally got the confidence to start writing, I was like, okay, I've overcome that barrier. But then the obstacles of making a film, funding is always going to be the main obstacle. And my main fear is filling out forms, other than spiders. And in order to get funding, you have to fill out forms. And there is support that you can get to fill out those forms, but in order to fill out those forms, you have to fill out a form to get support. So the main thing is, we've been talking about access. For the industry to change, access has to change, and that's across the board. So even, at the beginning, from a funding point of view, if that can be made more accessible, then more stories are going to be told from an accessible point of view and a diverse point of view. But yeah, so if there's anyone out there that wants to change all of those application experiences, then come find me later.
And it comes back to representation at the end of the day as well. Like you saying at school, you struggled at school, so therefore you didn't believe you could. It's the same thing when we come to characters, seeing them on screen. Mm-hmm. If people are seeing characters on screen that represent themselves, yeah, they might think that they can. Yeah. If teachers have a better understanding of dyslexia, dyspraxia, ADHD, all that, if they have a better understanding and children get the right support earlier on, they'll believe that they can. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's all about, if all of our TV and film is just able-bodied hearing, if it doesn't represent the 20% of the disabled communities that we have around the world, yeah, that 20% will never know that they can, or, we need this representation so that we know that we can, and we can show what talent we have. Yeah. So, sorry, little tangent. But then again, we come back to money. We were talking about this yesterday at an event we were at yesterday about how that needs to change, and hopefully that is going to change. That we will have the right amount of money so that producers are able to bring in enough money at the beginning to cover access. So access is in from the beginning, not a bolt on at the end.
I just wanted to say, I hope I'm encouraging other autistic actors that they can do it as well. They can get so.
You absolutely are.
We had a lot of fun making this movie. It was.
I think it goes without saying that you absolutely are, and it's just so brilliant to see these stories out there. I get really excited. I get over it, so I calm myself down. So right, let me just check. I've asked all my questions. Is there anybody particularly wants to say? Lucy, I can see you.
A little tangent in my mind as well.
Go with it.
As a fellow dyslexic, and most part of my job is to really make sure that things are changing from the beginning, from casting, all the way through. And actually, I applied for something recently, and I just said, I can't write that. I haven't got time to write it. Why can I do a video interview instead? And they said yes, but I was the only one out of 100 people that requested that. But there was no option to click that. So I just think it's about access. People are changing, and it's about having. We had a funny conversation over here just before we got up, and I hope I don't embarrass you, but me and Gemma, we were all saying about how do we sound really articulate and clever, and that's our biggest fear, dyslexic or autistic people, learn disabled, and we've got it here, and we've got the creative side. It's just the fear of not sounding or looking or doing it right, and I think it's about the world opening up and giving us more options to do it our way. not the way that it's been going, you know. So arts applications should be a video call. That's it, yeah. Got off a tangent, but yeah.
No. Absolutely true. And we were saying, me and my my business partner Claire, we were saying this morning about how if there were more deaf, disabled, neurodivergent producers who have an understanding of how to make accessible work, access needs, everything like that. If more deaf, disabled producers at the top making the work, you know, it would be. It would inevitably, you know, trickle down. Do I mean trickle down?
Yeah.
But yes, so I think that's another thing is there's lots of brilliant programs out there that are helping people to get into the field, but there's no longevity in it. It's just a brief little training program here and there. We need more deaf, disabled producers, writers, everything.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, sorry, that's my little tangent. But yes, I was going to say, actually, Lucy.
Oh, sorry.
Before I go, no, you reminded me of the question at the bottom of my head here about it was about the top tips for producers when it comes to working with disabled actors.
Top tips, yeah. Well, I think anybody that kind of starts off, I guess, really, it's about getting the actors in the room, starting to speak into different communities, different organisations, charities that are specialists in this area, and really starting, you know, there's a lot of films out there that haven't been written by autistic writers, but unfortunately there's not a lot of courses that kind of train, you know, so there's a lot of people wanting to do it. There's so much talent out there, but people aren't being seen. So maybe universities and drama schools should open up more courses. Access Hilarious, who I work for, we have a course at Central School, speech and drama, for people with learning disabilities and autism. So, but I don't think there's many. And so I think, yeah, if there was more training for people to kind of train in, you know, stage management, writing, directing, producing, then obviously these voices and the talents would be at the, you know, at the top of kind of the start, really. So yeah, get people in the room, start speaking to people, and make sure the voice is all authentic. Yeah.
All authentic, absolutely. For the purpose of the film, I'll quickly say, ask.
Yeah.
Yes.
The most important thing is to ask the artist, or contact a company that knows. Like, for example, Access All Areas, you could contact them and say, I'm thinking about doing this, how do I do it? Ask the right people. They are out there. There are loads of us out there.
There's no blueprint. So if you're getting Jules in, his needs are going to be different to a different autistic actor's needs. So it's about asking their agent what their needs are.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's all about the conversation.
Yeah.
Love it when people ask. We love it.
Thank you for your
Thank
question.
you so much. Anyway, thank you, everybody. Have a good show.